Now that we're going into the season, it's July 1st. We got to ask ourselves, is there a 2024 player from that 2024 class that's going to have a breakout season? That and the secondary. Let's talk about it. Coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning in, subscribing to the show. For your second listen, check out my guy Brian Smith over at The Portal. He's talking all recruiting for college football, just like we did in the first segment. He will keep you abreast at what's going on. So search on YouTube for The Portal at Locked On. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the 2024 recruiting class. Now, that is the class that is the first one heading into, I guess you could say, the SEC move. And this was the class where, Oklahoma was hoping that these young players would develop and be the foundational pieces for the SEC. Well, we're now going into year 2 for a lot of these players, and I expect some players to really step up and stand out. You did lose a few players. Eugene Brooks did hit the transfer portal and go back to California, and he's now at, of course, UCLA. You did lose out on Devon Mitchell, who's now over at Louisville. It didn't work out from him coming from California. He went the opposite direction and went to the other coast. You lost out on our guy, who was this, Josh Isosa, went out to West Virginia, and then you had a few players that ended up rolling out. Brendan Zerbrug, who's now transferred over to Utah. Michael Patterson McDonald, who entered the transfer portal. We're waiting to see where he ends up. So you had some players that ended up kind of scooting out, unfortunately. But for this class, there should be some opportunities for some of these names to populate, right? I mean, you still got Michael Hawkins in there, Jaden Hardy, Reggie Paris. I mean, the list goes on with this one. And to be honest, the expectations for the 2024 class was to be the foundational piece. And it appears they are going to be it. And there are so many names on here that I'm trying to figure out who are the ones that I feel like could actually have the season as where it's so broken out. You're like, yep, big time. Well, I think the one that has to have a breakout season is going to be David Stone. He's the 5-star plus guy. He's the one that we've been eyeballing, especially at the fiasco of him entering the portal and then coming back out of the portal. David Stone's got to have a year, man. He was the 5-star plus in his class. He was the one that we expected to be the breakout. This is the year where the expectations are now on the shoulders of a David Stone. The good thing for him is that all the weight of the world's not only on him. He's got Jaden Jackson from that exact same class right there next to him to work together. Still got Dominic Williams as well as Grayson Halton, who's actually a senior. I just looked at it like, dang, that dude's an actual real-life senior. And so David's now going to have to find his place with them in that rotation and make sure that he is very impactful this season. Again, the 2024 recruiting class for the Oklahoma Sooners is definitely the foundation for how Oklahoma is going to perform going forward. And I think that this is the one where David Stone is probably your top breakout candidate out of that class, as you really look through who everyone there. That will be defense. If I'm going to go ahead and give you somebody on the offensive side of the ball, your breakout candidate right now is Zion Kearney. So me and John have talked about the wide receiver room and the players we feel like should break out for the year. And Zion Kearney, to me, after last season and being thrusted out there immediately and having to figure things out and hope the quarterback looks your direction, we did see that Michael Hawkins had a thing for Zion Kearney. That was his dude. And you saw him tossing passes toward him. So now it feels like, hell, the Navy game. He got in the Navy game. He went out there, got the touchdown. And you're like, all right, I think it's starting to settle with him. He's starting to figure it out. But at his size, 6'2", 200 pounds, it's time for us to get this top 100 dude going. And I feel like Zion Kearney now has the opportunity to show up and show out when it comes to this actual season. He's the one on the offensive side of the ball to me, even though we've got Taylor Tatum in here as well against Xavier Robinson or whatnot. because of the Jaden Ott pickup. I think X-Rob as well as Tatum are going to get their rotations in. But I really feel like at the utmost, Zion Kearney's the one that's going to be the one that's probably going to show out the most. He's the candidate for breakout here. Now, again, this class to me is stacked. This was a top 10 class for Oklahoma. You still got Danny Okoye. You got Reggie Powers. You got Nigel Smith, Ivan Carry-On, right? You James Nesta, Eddie Pierre-Louis, who we think will probably start at left guard this season. Jeremiah Newcomb, who, hey, that kid looked kind of yoked, man. He looked like stocky. You've got a long list of dudes: Michael Boganowski, Wyatt Gilmore, Isaiah Autry-Dent. You got a good list of players from this class in which, again, Devon Jordan, Eli Bowen. You had Bowen as well as Jaden Jackson as freshman All-Americans. This, to me, is the class that will be that foundation. And I think that this class is going to be the one that's going to define Oklahoma for the next 2 years. This class is the one that's going to make Oklahoma look really good for the next 2 years. And now, even with the recruiting struggles we're seeing right now for Oklahoma, just in this class itself, it'll get made up because of this class. This class is going to go out there on the field and they're going to show up and show out. And because they're going to show up and show out, what's going to happen is you'll see a retro of people saying, oh, they do know what they're doing. I'm down to go play for Brent Venables. I'm down to go play for Ben Arbuckle. I'm down to go play for Todd Bates, etc., so on and so forth. You're going to start seeing some players actually gravitate. I mean, heck, Jay Valai has been killing it right now with his recruiting as of late. And so I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with what we've got going forward, especially when it comes to the secondary. So 2024 class being the foundational piece for the Oklahoma Sooners, it appears that this is the time for it to break out. I want to know from you all. Hop in the comments. Who do you feel like is your breakout candidate for this class? I still feel like on the defensive side, David Stone, it's time for him to go ahead and give us what we've been looking for out of our 5-star plus. And I know he's ready for it. He's hungry. Everyone says all he does is work hard. And since that's the case, I expect him to be that dude. Offensive side of the ball, Zion Kearney. Ball's in your hands, my boy. I know that you're ready. I see the training videos. I've had a few of them sent to me. So that tells me that you are definitely got your mind focused on dominating. The question, though, also for the Oklahoma Sooners is this. Can the secondary show up? It was young and had a lot of transfers, but now it's a lot of internal guys. Let's talk about it. Secondary ready to make that leap. Next up here on Locked On Sooners.